Meeting to order. Mary Jo, can you please call the roll?
Mary Belbeer,
You're muted, Mary.
Sorry. Here.
Kevin
Thank
Tansky,
you. Sorry.
Here.
Sue Grodick,
Here.
Ron Van Kirk,
Here.
Meg Ryan Shaki,
Here.
Andy Selhertz,
Here.
Kathy Pucci.
Here.
All right. All right. If you could please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the
Allegiance
flag
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For all.
Well, thank you everyone for your patience. I appreciate that. It's
Thanks for coming back.
thank you so much, Mary Jo and Don, for helping out with that. I appreciate it.
One.
All right, so we'll begin our agenda. The first item on the agenda this evening is to nominate and elect a council president. Do I have any nominations for council president?
I nominate Mr. Ron Van Kirk.
Second.
Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Okay.
For Ron Van Kirk for council president, Mary Belbeer,
Yes.
Kevin Tansky,
Yes.
Sue Grodick,
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk,
Abstain?
Meg Ryan Shaki,
Yes.
Andy Selhertz,
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Thank you, council. I appreciate that. Next up is the council president pro tem, and I will nominate Andy Selhertz.
Second.
Are there any other nominations? Any nominations? Any other nominations? There are none.
For Andy Selhertz for council president pro tem, Mary Belbeer,
Yes.
Kevin Tansky,
Yes.
Sue Grodick,
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk,
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki,
Yes.
Andy Selhertz,
Abstain.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
All right, so now we're going to go into the appointments for the committee assignments for the Planning Commission, Rec Board, Domestic Abuse, and Economic Development Committee. And we'll start with the Planning Commission rep, and I would like to nominate Sue Grodick to that position.
Second.
Second.
Any further nominations? Okay, Mary Jo.
For Sue Grodick for the planning commission representative, Mary Belbeer,
Yes.
Kevin Tansky,
Yes.
Sue Grodick,
Abstain.
Ron Van Kirk,
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki,
Yes.
Andy Selhertz,
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
All right, for Rec Board representative, I'd like to nominate Kevin Tansky.
Second.
Any further nominations? Okay, Mary Jo.
For Kevin Tansky for recreation board representative, Mary Belbeer,
Yes.
Kevin Tansky,
Abstain.
Sue Grodick,
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk,
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki,
Yes.
Andy Selhertz,
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Sorry, yes.
Okay. For Domestic Abuse Commission, I'd like to nominate Meg Ryan Shaki.
Second.
All right. Any other nominations? Okay, Mary Jo.
For Meg Ryan Shaki for domestic abuse commission representative, Mary Belbeer,
Yes.
Kevin Tansky,
Yes.
Sue Grodick,
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk,
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki,
Abstain.
Andy Selhertz,
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Okay. And for Economic Development Committee rep, I'd like to nominate Andy Selhertz.
Second.
Second. Okay.
Any other nominations? Okay, Mary Jo.
For Andy Selhertz, for Economic Development Committee Representative, Mary Belbeer,
Yes.
Kevin Tansky,
yes,
Sue Grodick,
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk,
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki,
Yes.
Andy Selhertz,
Abstain.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Okay. As far as the standing committees for Finance, Public Works, and Public Safety, my plan is to just leave the committees as they were from 2020, since 2020 essentially was a wash when it came to a lot of these meetings. And so I'll go ahead and read. But for the Finance Committee, that would be Kathy Pucci, Andy Selhertz, and myself. For the Public Works Committee would be Kevin Tansky, Kathy Pucci, and Andy Selhertz. For Public Safety and Environmental Committee will be Sue Grodick, Meg Ryan Shaki, and myself. And then for the other spots, again, will remain the same as well. The Legislative Update is Mary Belbeer. Sustainability Committee is Kevin Tansky. Our School Board Liaison will be Mary Belbeer. The Volunteer Fire Dependents Board will be Mary Belbeer and Kathy Pucci. And the Fair Housing Rep will be Meg Ryan Shaki. And as I communicated with each council member individually, everyone reflected that they were pretty well happy with the committees that they were on from 2020. And since there really was not really much of committee meetings outside of finance and committee at the whole, I thought we would just leave things at status quo. All right, I believe that's all that we have to do as far as the committee assignments. We do need to go over the committee, or excuse me, the council.
May I be recognized?
Sure.
Thanks. I believe we also have the Tax Incentive Review Commission, which we just revised that ordinance. I think it was 2020-57. That was where we clarified the duration and the percentage for the CRA. And I believe there's supposed to be a council representative to that commission as well, appointed by the president. I suspect I'm probably the last person who's appointed to that because I don't think we've addressed it recently.
Okay. Yeah, and I thank you for bringing up my attention. I was not aware of that. Mrs. Pucci, since you served in that in the past, would you be willing to do that again?
Yes, that's fine. They meet once a year.
Okay, I will go ahead and make that appointment then.
Thank you.
Mary Jo, you seem to be frozen there. Are you still with us?
I'm here. Am I good?
Yes, just on my screen you were frozen. Okay, very good.
Okay.
Okay. All right, any other comments before we move on to the council rules? Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and move on to the council rules section of our meeting. And the first one is that the time of the council will meet at the same time at 7 p.m. On the second and fourth Monday of each month, of course, with July and August being excluded, unless it's on a holiday, and it will follow the next day after the holiday, which is typically a Tuesday. I will go ahead and open the floor. Does anyone on council have anything they would like to add or take out of the council rules?
May I be recognized?
Yes.
Thank you. I would suggest, since last year the committee of the whole was new, that we also reaffirm that the committee of the whole will continue to meet prior to the council meetings. And then the other suggestion I have for adding something new is basically to include something in our rules to accommodate the virtual meetings. I was thinking Mary Jo could work with Mr. Butler on this, but I was thinking maybe under Rule 5 and then also Rule 13 for the committee meetings, something to the effect of, you know, under certain conditions, council and its committees, commissions, and boards can elect to meet remotely, and then it would be subject to basically all the criteria we have to meet as far as giving the appropriate public notice and also providing some live access for residents. And if people agree with that, I was thinking Mary Jo could work with Kevin Butler on actually developing the language.
Yes, thanks for bringing that up, Mrs. Pucci. And I actually had an email dialogue with Mr. Butler about that. And as of right now, he does not believe that we should or need to add anything to our council rules because it's only on a temporary basis. If it were to become more permanent, then he suggested that we should do that. But I can certainly follow up again and see if there's a need for that. So it is a point that I raised with him prior to this. And Mary Jo, you were involved in that email too.
I can give you his quick little response about that because there was a concern.
Please.
He said, I think our current meeting notices under state law suffice. I would hold off creating a council rule on remote meetings until you're being able to conduct them is made more permanent, if that's what it comes. But he felt that it was because the meeting notifications are very lengthy and include everything in it. He thought that was sufficient at this time for that. Does that sound okay to you or answer your question, Kathy?
So is that referring to the notices for the meeting or
no,
the ability to meet remote?
That is to make a rule about the remote meetings. He said, unless they're going to be permanent, he said the meeting notifications cover everything that needs to be done for that. That was his suggestion at this time. Do you want me to read it again so that it's?
No, that's okay. I can also follow up with him just to get a better
Sure.
understanding.
Sure. And also,
Yeah, go ahead, Mary Jo.
no, this is just a different subject. So if you want to add to that, please go right ahead.
Yeah, and like I said, Mary Jo, I did have an email, or not Mary Jo, Kathy, I did have an email with dialogue with about that. So I would just follow up with him, and he seemed fairly confident that it doesn't need to be addressed. But of course, if something's missing, we can certainly address that. Go ahead, Mary Jo.
I just wanted to say that Kathy had the other thing that she mentioned about the committee of the whole. If you have your rules in front of you, if you look at Rule 12, committees and boards, the last sentence in there we added last year is unless you wanted something changed in that.
Right.
So no, my point was that we're just reaffirming that that's going to stay the same. Just like we reaffirm every year that our regular meetings are the second and fourth Monday, etc. So I'm just saying that we're going to reaffirm that the committee of the whole will remain prior to every regularly scheduled council meeting.
Yeah, and I would recommend that we do that. And does anyone in council disagree with that?
No. Hey, Ron.
Yes, sir.
Kind of going with Kathy's thing. I mean, I know you said temporary with all, Zoom meetings, etc. But I could still see this medium being used. Let's say if we have to have a meeting in July or August, and that's kind of a tough time with people with vacations and everything else. This at least still wouldn't stop us, with due notice being given to the public somehow, if Sue's out on the East Coast, everybody's in a different direction, we still could potentially have a meeting. So
I don't have a problem adding it to our council rules. And like I said, I had that discussion with I didn't feel like we needed to add it. I don't know about it for situations like that because right now we're allowed to do it because of state law.
Right.
And I don't know if state law is going to continue. But like I said, I can certainly follow up with Mr. Butler regarding these concerns. And if we need to make a change, we can always do it later. We don't have to address it right now.
Okay, I'm just kind of a little
No,
bit.
it makes sense. No, I understand what you're saying. It makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
May I be recognized?
Yes.
And I guess, my original, motive or idea was that, clearly we are in a temporary situation right now, but we really don't know what's going to happen in the future. And I thought at least if it was incorporated into our rules, we would at least have the option. But like I said before, I will follow up with Mr. Butler to see what his reasoning was on his position.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Does anyone else on council have anything they'd like to add or detract? I just have one thing, and if you have something, please let me know. It's under Rule 5, public meetings. The very last line in there says, when in council is in session, cell phones and other electronic devices shall not be used, and they shall be turned off and put on silent or vibrate mode to avoid disruption. Well, all of us violate that rule every single meeting because we're violating it right now because we're all using electronic devices when we're up there. And so I would move that that we would strike that they're not used or they're not there to be turned off to avoid disruption. I understand the concept behind that rule, I'm guessing, was put before cell phones were used as tablets and computers. And to me, it just doesn't make any sense that we still have that rule in there.
Maybe recognized?
Yes.
So the original intent of that was actually that the public was not going to be using devices because we had been interrupted a few times with members of the public, their cell phones actually rang during the meeting. So that was the intent of that.
Okay.
You know, if we want to maybe modify it, I still believe that, I mean, we do have ours on silent.
Right.
And if we want to modify it, you know, that it has to be on silent, I think that covers us for members of the public. But that is what prompted that, because cell phones were ringing during the meetings.
Sure. That makes sense. Yeah. When you said the public, I didn't even think about that. I was just thinking of council. And I know that Sue brought that up before, and I think it was last year, and she's right, was right about that. Maybe we can just, council is in session, cell phones shall be put on silent to avoid disruption. And then take the rest of that out.
Cell phones and other electrical.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
I think it should be electronic. I think it's electronic.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that makes sense. I like I said, Kathy, I wasn't even thinking about the public having them on. I was more thinking about, you know, council not, you know, being on them. But yeah, that would make sense. So it would read, when council is in session, cell phones and other electronic devices shall be placed on silent to avoid disruption.
Good.
Does that
Or
make sense?
vibrate.
Yeah. Oh, that's fine. Yeah, silent or vibrate mode to avoid disruption. That's fine. All right. Does that make sense, everybody? Yes, sir.
Sue was trying to say something.
Now, I was just going to say, yes, that it's a little confusing, but also I wanted to make sure that we aren't saying to the public that they can't be on them. But on silent or vibrate is good. Because
Right. Yeah. No one ever turns their phones off anymore. So, right. Yeah, exactly. So I'll read it again. When council is in session, cell phones and other electronic devices shall be put on silent or vibrate mode to avoid disruption. And that just, I think that clarifies it pretty good.
Sounds better.
Okay. All right. Mary Jo, if you could make that note.
Do you want that to come back in the form of legislation to change it, or is that just a correction in the rules, or do I have to ask Director Butler about that? Wait, Ron, you're muted.
Sorry. I think our rules do go through legislation.
Okay, so we'll just amend that. That's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. And then if Mr. Butler decides that we need to put something in there about the virtual meetings as well, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, what Kathy's saying makes sense. I mean, that's what I thought of whenever I was talking about that. But if we don't need to, then we don't need to. So,
Sure.
all right. Does anyone else have anything they want to discuss about the rules? Okay. All right. Mary Jo, I think I covered everything. Did I miss anything?
No.
Okay. Very good. All right. Anyone else on council have anything they need to add? All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate it. Thank you for electing me for council president again. I know it's been a crazy year, and so we'll just pray and hope 2021 is better. All right. So we'll go ahead and anyone else? Okay. I'll go ahead and make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
To adjourn, Mary Belbeer,
Yes.
Kevin Tansky,
Yes.
Sue Grodick,
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk,
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki,
Yes.
Andy Selhertz,
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks for your patience, everybody. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
I'll be in touch with you all tomorrow.
Thank you, Mary
Sounds
Jo.
good.
Okay.